Commander Jake Morrison had seen many things in his 20 years of military service. He had watched brave soldiers break under pressure. He had seen genius minds fail simple tests when fear took over. He had observed the strongest bodies collapse when pushed beyond their limits. But he had never seen anything like the woman sitting across from him in the white testing room. Her name was Maya Brooks, and she was impossible. Jake looked at the data screen again, hoping the numbers would change. They did not. Physical strength. Test, 99.7%. Combat skills. Perfect score. Pilot training. The best results in Academy history. Strategic thinking. She had solved problems that usually took teams of experts weeks to figure out. She did them in hours. The testing had gone on for 3 months. Every day Maya faced new challenges. Every day she exceeded expectations. Other candidates had dropped out one by one, unable to keep up with the brutal training schedule. Some quit after the first week. Others made it through 2 months before their bodies or minds gave up. Maya never even looked tired. "State your name for the record," Jake said, trying to keep his voice steady. "Maya Brooks, sir," she replied. Her voice was calm and clear. She sat straight in her chair, hands folded in her lap. Her dark hair was pulled back in a neat ponytail. Her uniform was perfect, not a wrinkle anywhere. Even after 3 months of the hardest training the Academy could provide, she looked ready for inspection. "Service number? That is where we have a problem, sir." Jake knew about the problem. Everyone in command knew about it. It was the reason Maya was sitting in this room instead of getting her commission as a new officer. The computers could not find her, according to every database in human space. Maya Brooks did not exist. Captain Lisa Turner sat beside Jake. She held a tablet with Maya's file on it. The file that should not exist for a person who did not exist. Lisa had run the searches herself. She had checked every colony, every space station, every planet where humans lived. She had gone through birth records, school records, medical records, and employment records. She had searched for relatives, friends, and neighbors. Nothing. "We have run background checks on every candidate," Lisa said. "It is standard procedure. Everyone passes or everyone fails based on their documentation. As much as their performance." Maya nodded. "I understand the rules, Captain, but I have passed every test you have given me. I have shown you my skills, my knowledge, and my loyalty to human space. Is that not what matters?" It was a fair question. Jake had watched the testing. Footage dozens of times. Maya had protected fellow candidates even when it cost her points. She had shared water during desert survival training. She had carried injured teammates to safety during combat exercises. She had shown leadership, courage, and honor in every situation. The Zephyrian instructors had been amazed. The Zephyrians were aliens who had been training human soldiers for 10 years. They were known for being impossible to please. They had high standards and showed no mercy to weak students. But they had smiled when watching Maya work. Jake had. "Never seen a Zephyrian smile before? Where did you grow up?" Jake asked. "I cannot tell you that, sir. Cannot or will not." "Both, sir." Lisa leaned forward. "Maya, we want to help you. Your test scores are incredible. You could be one of our best officers, but we need documentation. We need proof of who you are." "I am Maya Brooks. I am 26 years old. I want to serve in the defense of human space. What other proof do you need?" Jake stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see the Academy training grounds. New candidates were running obstacle courses. Others were learning to fly fighter ships. All of them had proper paperwork. All of them had normal backgrounds that checked out when the computers searched for them. "The Academy has rules," he said, without turning around. "No service without proper identification. No exceptions have ever been made." "Perhaps it is time to make one," Maya said softly. Jake turned back to face her. "Why should we break our rules for you? 'Cause you need me." The words were not spoken with arrogance. They were stated as a simple fact. Jake felt a chill run down his spine, or something in Maya's eyes, a knowledge that went beyond her training scores. "What do you mean?" Lisa asked. Maya was quiet for a long moment. She seemed to be thinking carefully about her words. There are things coming that you are not prepared for, threats that your current forces cannot handle. You have been testing me to see if I am good enough for you, but the real question is whether you are good enough for what is coming. Jake sat back down. Explain. I cannot. Not yet. Not until you decide to trust me despite the missing paperwork. Room fell silent. Jake could hear the hum of the air conditioning system. He could hear footsteps in the hallway outside. He could hear his own heartbeat getting faster. Lisa broke the silence. Maya, we have protocols for a reason. The military runs on order and rules. If we start making exceptions, where does it end? It ends with humanity surviving, Maya said simply. Jake studied her face. He had interrogated spies, criminals, and enemy soldiers. He knew how to spot lies, fear, and deception. He saw none of those things in Maya Brooks. He saw only calm certainty in something else. Something that looked like sadness. If you are who you say you are, Jake said slowly, then prove it. Give us something we can verify. I am trying to, Maya replied. But you keep asking for the wrong kind of proof. Before Jake could ask what she meant, an alarm began to sound. Red lights flashed in the hallway outside. Lisa checked her tablet and went pale. Unknown ships detected at the edge of the system, she reported. Admiral Kelly is calling an emergency meeting. Maya stood up. It begins. Jake looked at her sharply. What begins? Your real test, Commander Morrison, the one that will determine. If humanity deserves to survive. The alarm continued to wail as Jake stared at the woman who did not exist. Outside the window, he could see pilots running to their ships. Emergency crews were moving equipment. The Academy was preparing for something it had never faced before, and somehow Maya Brooks had known it was coming. Dr. Alex Chen had studied alien artifacts for 20 years. He had explored dead worlds and examined technology that humans barely understood, but he had never been asked to investigate a living person before. The call from Admiral Patricia Kelly had been strange and urgent. We need you to figure out where someone comes from, the Admiral had said. Someone who apparently does not exist in our records. Now Alex stood in his laboratory aboard the research ship Nova, looking at evidence that made no sense. On the metal table before him lay Maya Brooks' personal belongings, her clothing, her boots, even strands of her hair. Everything told a story. That contradicted what humans knew about their own history. The fabric of her uniform was wrong. Alex had run it through every scanner he owned. The synthetic fibers matched no known manufacturing process used by any human colony. The molecular structure was similar to materials humans made, but different in ways that suggested decades of separate development. Her boots were even stranger. The soles contained trace minerals that did not exist in any charted human territory. The leather was treated with chemicals that human science had never discovered. Someone had made these items using knowledge that humanity did not possess. Alex picked up a datapad and recorded his findings. Day 12 of investigation. Subject: Maya Brooks continues to present impossible evidence. Her possessions suggest contact with materials and processes unknown to recorded human civilization.
Ow!
The blood samples were the most disturbing discovery. Maya's genetic markers were completely human, but they showed exposure to cosmic radiation. Patterns that made no sense. Its radiation signature indicated travel through space regions that appeared on no human star charts. She had been to places that humans had never reached. Captain Ben Harper entered the laboratory. He was the security chief for the detention facility where Maya was being held. Alex had worked with Ben before on classified projects. The man was usually calm and professional, but today he looked worried. Any progress, Doctor? Ben asked. Too much progress, Alex replied. Everything I discover makes the mystery deeper. Where is she right now? Reading in her quarters. She finished the entire military strategy library yesterday. Now she is working on advanced physics texts. She reads them like they are children's books. Alex raised an eyebrow. How advanced? Quantum mechanics, stellar engineering, things that usually take years to understand. She solved that tactical puzzle that has been stumped our best minds. For months, took her 40 minutes. Show me. Ben led Alex through the detention center to Maya's quarters. The rooms were comfortable but secure. Through the observation window, they could see Maya sitting at a desk. Books and data pads were scattered around her. She was writing notes with her left hand while reading from a tablet with her right. She does that often, Ben said quietly. Reads multiple sources at the same time. Never seems confused or overwhelmed. Alex watched Maya work. Her movements were efficient and precise. She would read a page, make a note, then move to the next source without hesitation. It was like watching someone who had access to knowledge that others did not. Has she said anything about her background? Alex asked. Only that we would not believe her if she told us. At that moment, Maya looked up from her reading. She turned toward the observation window and smiled. She could not see them through the one-way glass, but somehow she knew they were there. I think she wants to talk to you, Ben said. 5 minutes later, Alex sat across from Maya in her quarters. She had cleared the desk and now faced him directly. Her dark eyes were intelligent and alert, or something ancient in her gaze, as if she had seen things that others could not imagine. Dr. Chen, she said before he could introduce himself. I have been waiting for you to visit. How did you know my name? I know many things about the people here. I've been studying you as much as you have been studying me. Alex opened his notebook. I have questions about your possessions. The materials are unlike anything in our databases. They were not made in your territory. Where were they made? Maya was quiet for a moment. She seemed to be considering how much to reveal. Doctor, what do you know about the colony? Ship Endeavor? Alex felt a chill. Every student of human history knew about the Endeavor. It had been humanity's most ambitious colonization mission, carrying 50,000 people to establish a new home in the Perseus Arm. The ship had launched 40 years ago with great celebration and hope. 2 years later, all contact was lost. The Endeavor was considered humanity's greatest tragedy. It was lost, Alex said carefully. Presumed destroyed with all hands. It was not destroyed. The words hung in the air like a challenge to everything Alex believed about history. He stared at Maya, trying to process what she was suggesting. That is impossible. We searched for years. No trace was ever found. Because you were looking in the wrong places. Maya stood up and walked to the small window in her quarters. Outside, Alex could see the stars of human space, familiar constellations that had guided humanity for generations. The Endeavor found something, Maya continued. Something that changed everything. We did not die, Dr. Chen. We survived, and we learned, and we built something amazing. Maya turned back to face him. I was born on the Endeavor, not the ship that you remember, but the community that grew from it. My parents were colonists. I am second generation. Alex's mind raced. If Maya was telling the truth, then everything about human expansion into space needed to be reconsidered. A lost colony that had survived and developed independently for 40 years. It explained the strange materials, the unknown radiation exposure, the advanced knowledge. Why come back now? Alex asked. Because something is coming. Something that destroyed the civilization we found. Something that has been hunting humanity since we first left Earth. Before Alex could ask more questions, his communicator buzzed. It was Lieutenant Amy Foster from the Communications Department. Her voice was excited and urgent. Dr. Chen, you need to come to the Communications Center immediately. We found something hidden in the quantum signature of Maya's quarters. A message encoded in technology we have never seen before. Alex looked at Maya. She was smiling again, but this time the expression was sad. What does the message say? Alex asked his communicator. Amy's voice was barely a whisper. Tell them about the Dark Fleet. Tell them we are coming home. Maya nodded. Slowly, and so it begins, Dr. Chen. The real test of whether humanity is ready for what comes next. The emergency meeting room, deep inside Luna Station, had never held such an important gathering. Admiral Patricia Kelly sat at the head of the long table, surrounded by humanity's highest-ranking military officers. The room was silent, except for the soft hum of the air recycling system. Everyone was waiting for Maya Brooks to speak. Maya stood at the far end of the table. She wore a simple gray uniform without any rank insignia. Her hands were folded behind her back, and her posture was straight and confident. She looked like a soldier giving a report, even though technically she was still a prisoner without legal status. "I was born on the colony ship Endeavor," Maya began. Her voice carried clearly through the room. "Not the Endeavor that you believe was lost 40 years ago. It's the Endeavor that survived and found something incredible." General Carl Rodriguez leaned forward in his chair. He was the oldest person in the room, with gray hair and deep lines around his eyes. "The Endeavor was destroyed. We searched for 2 years. We found debris. We found what we wanted you to find," Maya replied calmly. "We needed you to stop looking for us." The words caused a stir around the table. Officers whispered to each other. Some shook their heads in disbelief. Admiral Kelly raised her hand for silence. "Explain," Kelly said simply. Maya nodded. "The Endeavor did not reach its planned destination. 3 months into the journey, we encountered something impossible. A structure in space, bigger than anything humans had ever imagined. It was clearly alien, and it was clearly abandoned." She paused and looked around the room. Every face was focused on her with complete attention. The structure was a megaship, thousands of kilometers long, built by a civilization that had mastered technology beyond our understanding. It was damaged, drifting, but still functional in many areas. Captain Williams made the decision to investigate. Dr. William Grant, the chief scientist on the council, interrupted. "That goes against every first contact protocol we have. Alien technology is to be avoided until proper analysis can be conducted." Captain Williams was practical, Maya said. "We were 40,000 light-years from home with limited supplies. The megaship offered resources we desperately needed. More importantly, it offered answers to questions we had not yet learned to ask." Maya walked to the large display screen at the side of the room. She touched the control panel, and star charts appeared, but these were not the familiar maps that the officers knew. These showed star systems and trade routes that extended far beyond human space. "We spent 5 years learning to interface with the alien systems. The technology was incredible, but it came with a terrible discovery. The original builders of the megaship were dead. All of them. Killed by something they called the Harbingers." The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. Admiral Kelly felt a chill run down her spine. "What are the Harbingers?" she asked. "A force that hunts intelligent life across the galaxy. They appear every few thousand years, seeking out civilizations that have reached a certain level of technology. They study their targets, learn their weaknesses, then destroy them completely." Maya touched the control panel again. The display changed to show recorded images from the alien database. The officers saw worlds that had been burned from space, cities reduced to ash, entire star systems left barren and lifeless. The builders of the megaship tried to fight back. They were more advanced than humanity will be for centuries. They had weapons that could destroy planets, shields that could protect entire solar systems. None of it mattered. The Harbingers adapted to everything they tried. Captain Lisa Turner, who had remained silent until now, spoke up. "How do you know all this? How could your people learn so much from alien technology?" "Because we had 40 years to study it. And because we had help." Maya touched the controls once more. The display showed a human face, but not one that anyone in the room recognized. The man was elderly, with white hair and kind eyes. He wore clothing that looked familiar but somehow different. "This is Admiral Marcus Webb, formerly of the Earth's Defense Force. He disappeared 35 years ago during a deep space patrol. He was captured by the Harbingers, but managed to escape. He found us just as we were beginning to understand the alien technology." The room erupted in conversation. Webb had been a hero, a brilliant tactician who had vanished without a trace. His loss had been mourned throughout human space. "Webb taught us about the Harbingers," Maya continued when the noise died down. "He had studied them during his captivity. He helped us understand that the aliens who built the megaship had made one critical mistake. They tried to fight the Harbingers using the same methods that had failed every other civilization." General Rodriguez stood up. "What methods?" "Conventional warfare, advanced technology, superior firepower. All of it useless against an enemy that learns and adapts faster than you can develop new strategies. Maya returned to her position at the end of the table. Her expression was serious, almost grim. The Harbingers have a weakness, but it is not technological. It is psychological. They cannot understand or predict behavior that goes against logical thinking. They cannot adapt to actions that make no strategic sense. Dr. Grant frowned. That sounds like a recipe for suicide, not victory. Sometimes the two are the same. Thing, Maya said quietly. Webb called it the human factor. Our willingness to do impossible things when survival is at stake. Our tendency to succeed through stubbornness rather than superior planning. Admiral Kelly studied Maya carefully. What did your people do with this knowledge? We built a fleet. Using human determination and alien technology, we created ships that the Harbingers cannot predict or counter. We trained crews to think in ways that defy military logic. We prepared for a war that we knew was coming. How did you know it was coming? Maya's expression grew even more serious. Because we have been watching Earth, the Harbingers choose their targets based on technological development. Humanity has reached the threshold. They are already on their way. The silence in the room was complete. Every officer sat frozen, trying to process the implications of what they had heard. I came back to warn you, Maya said, and to offer you a choice. You can face the Harbingers alone with conventional forces and die like every other civilization before you, or you can trust people who do not exist legally and learn to fight in ways that make no sense. Admiral Kelly stood up slowly. Show us. 3 weeks after Maya's revelation, the first ships appeared at the edge of human space. They materialized like ghosts, barely visible on the sensor screens of the monitoring stations. The ships were unlike anything in the official databases. Sleek and dark, bending light around their hulls in ways that made them hard to see. Admiral Patricia Kelly stood on the bridge of the flagship Defender. Watching the impossible vessels take formation around the outer stations, Maya stood beside her, no longer wearing the gray uniform of a prisoner. She now wore the black and silver of a fleet commander, with rank insignia that belonged to no human military organization. 300 ships, reported Captain Jake Morrison from his position at the tactical station. Each one is broadcasting the same message on all frequencies. Let me hear it, Kelly ordered. The bridge speakers crackled to life. A calm voice spoke in clear, unaccented English. This is the Dark Fleet requesting permission to dock. We are ready to come home. Kelly looked at Maya. Your people, my people, Maya confirmed. The survivors of the Endeavor and their children. We have been building and preparing for 40 years. Now we are here. The main view screen flickered and changed. It showed the bridge of the lead ship in the Dark Fleet. The woman who appeared was clearly human, but her eyes held knowledge of things beyond normal experience. Behind her, Maya could see crew members who looked like they had stepped out of Earth's history books, but they operated technology that belonged in humanity's distant future. This is Admiral Sarah Murphy of the Dark Fleet, the woman said. I've been waiting a long time to have this conversation. Kelly stepped forward. This is Admiral Patricia Kelly of the Earth Defense Force. We need to discuss terms for your arrival. Sarah smiled. It was a tired smile, the expression of someone who had carried a heavy burden for too long. There are no terms, Admiral Kelly. We are humans returning home. The question is whether home is ready for what we bring with us. Maya moved to stand beside Kelly. Mission accomplished, Admiral Murphy. They are ready to listen. Good, Sarah replied, because we do not have much time. Our sensors detect Harbinger scouts 3 systems away. They will be here within days. The bridge of the Defender fell silent. Kelly felt her stomach twist with fear. The Harbingers were no longer a distant threat that Maya had warned them about. They were real, and they were close. What do you need? From us? Kelly asked. Sarah's expression became businesslike. Integration protocols. Our ships need to dock with your stations. Our crews need to coordinate with your personnel. Most importantly, your commanders need to learn tactics that will keep them alive. Over the next 72 hours, human space transformed. The Dark Fleet ships docked with every major station and outpost. Engineers who had spent decades working with alien technology began showing Earth Defense Force mechanics how to modify human ships for the coming battle. Captain Ben Harper found himself working alongside technicians who spoke with familiar accents but used tools he had never seen before. They upgraded his ship's shields using principles that made no logical sense but somehow worked perfectly. "Why does this configuration strengthen the shield grid?" Ben asked one of the Dark Fleet engineers. The woman who introduced herself as Lieutenant Kelly Davis smiled, "Because it should not work. The Harbingers expect shield systems to follow logical design patterns. When we do the opposite, their analysis fails." Similar conversations were happening throughout the fleet. Dr. Alex Chen worked with Dark Fleet scientists who had reverse-engineered alien technology to create weapons that violated basic physics. Captain Lisa Turner learned flight patterns that looked like mistakes but proved impossible for enemy computers to predict. Maya spent her time in the command center, coordinating between the two fleets. She had become the bridge between humanity's past and its future, the woman who existed in both worlds but belonged fully to neither. "The integration is going well," she reported to Admiral Kelly. "But we have a problem. Some of your commanders are having trouble accepting our methods." Kelly nodded. She had received similar reports. Old-school officers who could not understand why they should abandon proven tactics for strategies that appeared to be mistakes. "They will learn," Kelly said, "or they will die when the Harbingers arrive." That is what Admiral Webb used to say. Sometimes the hardest battles are fought against our own assumptions. On the fourth day, the Harbingers arrived. They came in ships that hurt to look at directly, vessels that seemed to exist in more dimensions than human eyes could process. Their fleet was smaller than the combined human forces, but every intelligence report suggested that numbers would not matter. The Harbingers had never lost a war. "All ships," this is Admiral Kelly, the communication went out across both fleets. "Today we fight for the survival of humanity. Remember your training, trust your instincts, and do not try to make sense of what you are doing." The battle began with the Dark Fleet ships charging directly at the enemy. To observers, it looked like suicide. Formations were wrong, the timing was off, and the attack vectors violated every rule of space combat. But Maya watched the tactical displays and smiled. "The Harbingers are confused," she reported. "Their computers cannot analyze our movements because our movements are not logical." The Earth Defense Force ships followed the Dark Fleet's lead, flying patterns that felt wrong, but somehow worked. They dodged weapons that should have hit them and landed shots that should have been impossible. The Harbingers, for the first time in their history, were fighting an enemy they could not understand. Human ships are not following standard attack protocols. Came a transmission from a captured Harbinger communication. Analysis indicates irrational behavior, requesting tactical guidance. But there was no tactical guidance for fighting humans who refused to behave rationally. The battle continued for 6 hours, with both sides taking losses. But as the fighting progressed, it became clear that the Harbingers were losing. They are retreating. Captain Morrison reported with amazement in his voice. Maya watched the enemy ships pull back toward the edge of the system. They will return with more ships and better analysis. But they have learned something important today. "What is that?" Kelly asked. "That humanity cannot be defeated using logic. We are too stubborn, too unpredictable, and too willing to do impossible things when survival is at stake." The woman who did not exist legally had just helped humanity win its first victory against an enemy that had never been defeated. As the combined fleets regrouped and prepared for the larger war that was coming, Maya reflected on the irony of her situation. She had passed every test the Academy could devise. But the most important test had been humanity's willingness to accept help from people who existed outside their system. In the end, survival mattered more than paperwork.